Hello. These are monkeys. These are also monkeys. This is a monkey. And this is also a monkey. So is this. And this is most definitely a monkey. But if this is a monkey, and that is a monkey, fun fact, this is also a monkey. Wait, what? Primates are a fascinating group. They include lemurs, monkeys, apes, and humans. Primates are known for having opposable thumbs to pick stuff up, and two front-facing eyes giving them binocular vision. Today, I'm going to be rendering the names of these primate taxa into Sanskrit. Oh, by the way, this is not how you draw a cladogram in proper. I drew it like this just so you guys can understand it. Now, if you watched my previous Sanskrit Taxonomy videos, you'd know that I rendered a primate as kapeya, derived from kapi, meaning monkey or ape. But now I'm thinking, in addition to kapeya, let's use the word kapi by itself to refer to any primates, not just monkeys or apes. And with that being said, let's look at the two main subclades of primates. We have the Strepsirrhini and then the Haplorhini. The Strepsirrhini include the many species of lemurs endemic to Madagascar and the many species of lorises found from Africa all the way to Southeast Asia. Strepsirrhini means wet nose, and it refers to the fact that their rhinarium, which is the patch of skin at the tip of the snouts of many animals, is wet. However, we're not going to be rendering the Sanskrit name based on their rhinarium or their noses, for that matter. We're going to be naming them based on their lips. Strepsirrhine primates like lorises and lemurs have their upper lips attached to their gums. This means that they cannot move their upper lips, whereas the Haplorhine primates like apes, monkeys, and humans, they have their upper lips more free, meaning they can move their upper lips, allowing for a wide range of facial expressions. Let's name Strepsirrhini as having a restricted upper lip. Restricted in Sanskrit is niyata, and upper lip in Sanskrit is uttaraushta. So putting them together, you get niyatottarausthtin. Now for Haplorhini, we're going to call it possessing the movement of the upper lip. Now, the word cheshta in Sanskrit means expression or movement of the body. And then, again, for upper lip, it's uttaraushta. Putting it all together, we get cheshtottaraushtin. And now we can update our cladogram. Let's do the same here. And now, let's look at the two superfamilies under Strepsirrhini or Niyatottarausthtin. Now, let's start with lemurs. If you watched Zabumafu as a child, or the Madagascar movies, you know what these are. They're the primates whose ancestors millions of years ago rafted on to the island of Madagascar and established themselves there. Now, in addition to being a home for lemurs, Madagascar is also the home to the Malagasy people who speak the Malagasy language. In the Malagasy language, the word for lemur is gidro. Let's honor the Malagasy people by borrowing their word for lemur into Sanskrit, which we'll have as gidroka. And if you want, we can render it in multiple ways, as evidenced by the following table. Next up are the lorises, of which one species is found in India. It's the grey slender loris, and it's found in South India. And appropriately, the South Indian languages have their own names for this creature. These names follow a pattern. You have names with Devanga, and then you have names with Kadupapa. Now, the names with Kadupapa mean forest baby, whereas the names with Devanga means slender-bodied one. And we'll simply translate those into Sanskrit as Aranya Shishu and Krishanga Kapi. Now, because not all lorises are slender-bodied, we'll use the first one to refer to all lorises. However, to refer to the slender-bodied lorises, we'll use Krishanga Kapi. So lemurs are Gidroka and lorises are Aranya Shishu. However, if we want, we can also call lorises Vanashishu, which are just synonyms. And because these are superfamilies, we're just going to tack on the word rupa to the end of each of these. Okay, let's update our cladogram. Now that we have done that, let's move on to the haplorhine groups. We have the tarsieriforms and the simiiforms. Let's start with tarsieriforms, or tarsiers. That's a tarsier. It's very adorable. It looks like a loris, but it's actually more closely related to us than they are to lorises. Tarsiers are found in Southeast Asia. Tarsiers are nocturnal, meaning they're active at night, and they use their large eyes to let in a lot of light from their surroundings so they can see. Now, tarsiers look like lorises, but are distantly related to them. If you remember my previous video, episode 1 in the series, you'd know that for such a scenario, we use the prefix apa. Okay, if you remember, the word for loris that we are going to use in Sanskrit is aranya shishu. Now we add the prefix apa, and we get aparanyashishu for tarsiers and by extension tarsieriforms. And now we can update our cladogram. Now that's done, we'll move on to simiiforms. Now, do you remember at the beginning of the video that I said if this, a capuchin monkey native to South America, is a monkey, then so is a gorilla? Yes, gorillas, while apes, are also monkeys. How does that work? Well, consider the following cladogram. You have the New World monkeys native to South America, such as capuchins and marmosets. Then you have the Old World monkeys, such as baboons or langurs. What you'll notice is that Old World monkeys are grouped closer to apes and humans than they are with New World monkeys. Yes, that means that the monkey that stole my glasses in India is more closely related to me than it is to Boots from Dora the Explorer. So how do we define a monkey? Well, let's establish a principle. A monkey is a monkey. So, if by common definition a New World monkey is a monkey and an Old World monkey is a monkey, then tracing up the family tree, we get to the common ancestor, which would be the first monkey. And in that case, everything descending from that common ancestor will be monkeys. That's the catch, because if you go downstream from the monkeys, you'll notice that you have to include the apes and humans if you are going to include the New World monkeys as monkeys and Old World monkeys as monkeys. So as per taxonomy, the most specific rank that we can group all the New World monkeys, Old World monkeys, and apes is simiiforms. So monkey equals simiiforms. And in Sanskrit, the most common word for monkey is vanara. Monkeys, or simiiforms, or vanara, can be divided into two groups. You have the Catarrhini, which includes Old World monkeys and apes and humans, and then the Platyrrhini, which include the New World monkeys, or the ones you find in South America. The name Catarrhini means downwards nose, as their nostrils face down. The name Platyrrhini means flat nose, as these monkeys have their noses flat, but a better way to distinguish them is that their nostrils face sideways, and we're going to name them as downward nose and a sideways nose. So I'm going to be quick, but look at the diagram. Catarrhini is adho nasa, and Platyrrhini is tirang nasa. Now let's update our phylogenetic tree. And here as well. We're pretty much done now. However, I do want to go specific in one category, the apes, because there's not much apes to name, and they are an interesting category. Apes are those that which belong to the superfamily Hominoidae, and because this is a superfamily, our Sanskrit name should end in rupa. Now here are two words I've coined for ape. Nirpuchakapi, meaning tailless primate, as apes are primates without tails, and Kimpurusha, which in Hindu Buddhist lore refers to mythical beings that inhabited Tibet. They are half lion and half human, not to be confused with Narasimha. And however, it could also be that they're referring to the Tibetan inhabitants. Well, what probably happened is that Kimpurushas, much like Yakshas, were like nature spirits, but they have been associated with the people who live there due to some historical phenomenon, and that's how the Kimpurusha became associated with a particular people. However, this is not to be offensive to any group of people. This is just a name. In fact, the reason I chose this is based on the full etymology. Kimpurusha would mean, is that a human? Because if you look at a gorilla and you have never seen one before, you'll be asking, is that a human? Because gorillas kind of look like humans, kind of. Now let's talk about gibbons, or the Hylobatidae family. Now, gibbons are known as lesser apes, as they're, well, smaller than the traditional apes like chimpanzees or gorillas. So a good name for them would be light ape, or laghu, meaning light, and Kimpurusha, which is the word we're going to use for ape, so Laghu Kimpurusha. And because Hylobatidae is a family, we add on Maya, so Laghu Kimpurusha Maya. And now let's update our family tree with what we have so far. Now let's name the subfamily Homininae. Now in my previous Sanskrit Taxonomy video, you'd know that the family Hominidae, which includes orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, and humans, is Vrishakapi, meaning man ape, because they're, well, gorillas are like man apes, if you know what I mean. Now, Homininae includes only gorillas, chimpanzees, and humans, but not orangutans. And speaking of humans, we're going to name this subfamily after humans. And since we're naming a higher taxonomic rank after a lower one, we use the endings drish or akriti. And since gorillas, for that matter, are only vaguely resembling humans, we use drish, as in my system, drish contains ambiguity. That being said, let's start naming. Nara means man, drish and then tack on the ending Atmaka, denoting the subfamily, and we get Naradrishatmaka for Homininae. Within Homininae, we have the tribe Hominini, which includes chimpanzees, bonobos, and humans, but not gorillas. And we're going to follow the same system of naming the higher taxonomic rank after the lower one. So this time we're going to use Akriti as there's less ambiguity. And we also used Drish previously. So we get Nara plus Akriti plus Samkasha, which is the ending denoting a tribe. Then we get Narakriti Sankasha for Hominini. Now let's depart from the subfamily Homininae and go to the subfamily Ponginae, which includes orangutans and the largest primate to have ever lived, Gigantopithecus. Back to orangutans. Native to Southeast Asia, they're the only living great ape outside of Africa. In fact, the word orangutan comes from the Malay word orang hutan, meaning forestman. In theory, we could borrow this word directly into Sanskrit as orang hutana kapi, but I don't think this is good. But we can instead coin our own word. Now, let's call it tawny ape, where tawny means reddish-orange, as that's the color of orangutans. Tawny in Sanskrit is Kapila, so we get Kapila Kimpurusha for orangutans. But if we're going to name the orangutan, we have to name the other apes now. Let's start with the gorilla. Funny enough, the Sanskrit dictionary already has a word for gorilla as Bhima Vanara, meaning mighty monkey or mighty ape, or terrible monkey or terrible ape, and the Nepali Wikipedia also uses it. And also note that the Nepali Wikipedia has its own words for the taxonomic ranks under primates. Gorillas belong to the tribe Gorillini, and that's what we'll be naming. Now, I do agree to use the word Bhimavanara for gorillas, but might I suggest the synonyms Bhimakapi or Bhimakimpurusha? In fact, I prefer using the word Bhimakapi when naming the tribe, because when you add the ending for tribe Sankasha, you get Bhimakapi Sankasha, which is less syllables to say than Bhimavanara Sankasha. Now, let's move on to chimpanzees and bonobos, our closest living relatives. Interestingly, the Sanskrit dictionary already has a word for this, Medhyavanara, and the Nepali Wikipedia also uses that as well. And I too shall be using Medhyavanara for chimpanzees and bonobos, pretty much the entire genus Pan, but we can also use synonymously Medhyakapi and Medhyakimpurusha. Since Pan is a genus, we don't have to tack on any endings and we can use Medhyavanara directly. But we still have to distinguish between chimpanzees and bonobos. And for that, pay attention to this animation. A long time ago, the ancestors of the chimpanzees and bonobos were living in a certain area. Then to the south of them, the Congo River began to flow. But then, on rare occasions, the Congo River flow would weaken, allowing for some of the ancestral populations to cross over. And once the Congo River regained its flow, the two populations of apes were separated from one another. This made a huge difference, as the southern end of the river had a lot of food, abundant food, whereas the northern end of the river only had very little food, but also, at the same time, competition from gorillas. And because of this, the northern population had to get aggressive in order to compete over the little amount of food that they had. However, because the population to the south of the river had abundance of food and no competition from the gorillas, they were free to be peaceful and caring. Eventually, the northern population evolved into the infamously violent chimpanzees of today, while the southern populations evolved into the more tranquil bonobos that we know and love today. And because of this difference in disposition, we're going to name the chimpanzees Ugra Medhyavanara and bonobos as Shanta Medhyavanara, where Ugra means violent and Shanta means tranquil. We can now finish updating our family tree. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys liked it. And if there's any criticisms, please do tell.